What is up and how's it going? Welcome back to another edition of the Noble Steady Sort of Sports Talk. It's a recap show today. I'm your host, Tyler, here with my co host, Joey. Joey, how's it going today, buddy?
What's up, guys? I'm feeling a little better since the Stars lost, having watched two games of the Stanley Cup final, both going to overtime. We have an entire game's worth of free hockey now, thanks to those two. So I'm not as awake as I should be because that game didn't end until midnight, but here we are.
It's okay, buddy. We appreciate you making the effort to be here today. I'm sure once that coffee kicks in, you'll pep up a little bit. But we're also joined by our day walker, Shane. Welcome back, buddy.
What's up, my friends?
You missed a recap episode, but we're glad to have you back. You know, we saved this episode specifically for you and I to get into it. It's a special recap episode today. We're getting into all the dirty drama of the Derek Carr saga in New Orleans. The way it kind of wrapped up here. Y'all ready to get kind of into it? Get into the mud a little bit on this one?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
Yeah, look, there's it's a pivotal point. There's some changes that are I mean, this is really the inflection point for the Saints, right? Like, this forces them to start the rebuild. This forces them to really make that new change, which they did with with getting rid of DA. It was a start, but getting rid of Derek Carr or having the issue resolve itself really is the first. It feels like the first time we were starting a new era in New Orleans, and it's exciting. It really is. But with that being said, you know, I think we have to go back. We're just going to talk about the injury timeline and everything. We're not going to get into his whole career here, but so we'll go all the way back with where the injury happened. Allegedly, the injury happened back on December 8th when they played the New York Giants, when he decided to make a questionable decision on 2nd and 9.
Call it what you're going to call it, Tyler, because I wouldn't say
Look,
questionable.
a very very low football IQ play, in my opinion, of diving over a defender when it's 2nd down and 9 early in a game, which in fact he broke his hand, and landed flat on his face, and apparently somehow hurt his right shoulder by landing on his left hand and face. But, you know, I'm not a doctor, but that's when they're claiming the injury happened. I mean, why don't you tell me your thoughts on that play, Shane? Like, when you first saw it, what was your initial reaction to it?
He's a moron. Okay, basically, it was my initial reaction. You know, when he came to the Saints, I was like, all right, you know, give him a shot. Maybe he didn't have a good shake. That Raiders organization's tough, right? So it's like, maybe he'll do some good. I think he saw kind of early that wasn't going to happen. So he's always been a kind of a tough one for me, because I feel like he tries to portray himself as one thing, and he is 100% not what he's portraying himself to be. So I think he's a selfish guy. I think he blames people for his mistakes. You know, I think you've seen that with that pass that he made out of bounds to Olave. I think we've discussed in the past. So I think he thinks he's better than he is, and I think that play showed it. He's trying to make a super athletic play for a guy that's not really a mobile quarterback. He's not that guy. So I don't know why he would try to be that guy. I don't buy that injury happened on that play, but that's just me. I'm also not a doctor, for those listening.
We are for Dynasty, but not for him.
Yeah, exactly.
But Joey, like, let's get your take on that play, buddy.
I mean, it comes down to the fact that just shows that he has no situational awareness. He just had this bright idea. You know, I get trying to go for the win and, you know, trying to make something happen. When did that injury happen in the game? Wasn't it I feel like it was the first half?
Yeah, I want to say it was the first half.
Yeah, like, you have plenty of game to go. Like, just get out of bounds, be safe. I get that, you know, sometimes people will call out your toughness if you just run out of bounds when you could get another yard or two, but you don't need to go high. You're not the person that needs to go high. That's Alvin Kamara's job. That's a wide receiver, a tight end's job, to jump high over a defender, not you. You're not, you know, we need you from here up. And, you know, if you have a leg injury, you can kind of sort of hide it a little bit with throwing the ball. But by jumping in the air like that, you're then putting not only your career, because again, let's face it, quarterbacks are not the most athletic when it comes to running, a lot of them, but you're putting your team's season in jeopardy. You're putting their future in jeopardy, because what happens if, like, basically what happened, if you career end yourself, as I call it, then you're putting the franchise that's supposed to pay you millions of dollars in jeopardy. So then you talk about you for the fans and everything, but that just showed you're not.
So let me, I agree with you there. Let me preface this. I just looked it up. It was in the fourth quarter. They're winning and driving it, but it's second down and it's 2nd and 10 play. He literally takes a step out of bounds. It's 3rd and 1. You live to fight another day. And then who knows where it goes. But I completely agree with you. It's a football play, but it's not a smart one, right? Like, he's never been the Michael Vick, Taysom Hill, that kind of guy. And I know people have always said, well, Taysom Hill was out, so he's trying to bridge that gap. That's not his game. And you have to know what your game and play within it. But let's move on past that. We all know how the Saints.
I got one question for you, Tyler, on that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Do you blame coaching at all? Do you feel the coach, pre-snap is saying, "Hey, look, let's just get positive yards here, but let's make a play, step out of bounds, whatever," or do you he's just doing what he wants, kind of thing?
It was a broken play. It was a pass play that he ended up scrambling on, and I think that I know what he's thinking. Oh, I'm trying to make a play for my teammates, kind of thing, get the first down and everything. But you also have to realize if it's fourth down and you're losing, then okay, I get it. But you're winning, it's 2nd down. Just go out of bounds. Take the W. You know what I mean? It's like when you're building a parlay, right? We're all guilty of it. You're adding that one extra leg to it to try to get those odds a little higher. And it always comes back to bite you in the ass. And that's kind of what this is here. He tried to do too much when he could have taken the money in hand. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, like, I get it. Looking at the score at the time, you're only up 3, so then you're trying to just ice the game as best you can. Do something different, like you said. 3rd and go out of bounds, 3rd and 1, live to fight another play. You can't make these decisions like this. It's selfish. I'm gonna make the play. I'm gonna do this. Not, hey, I have a team to worry about. And to your point, Shane, he should know better than, it shouldn't be coaching. He shouldn't be coached to be told, hey, this is what we need. Like, how long's he been in the league?
He was drafted in 14, so it's about 11 years in at that point.
Yeah, 9th, 10th, 11th year. You should know better by then. You've been playing football for a long time.
Yeah, and look, and he's done a lot of good. He's done good in his career. His career is actually a fascinating case study of just like of a position that's normally predicated on winning, which he didn't do a lot of, but still had a starting quarterback job for a long time in this league. But let's keep this moving because we got a lot to cover. So I don't know if y'all remember this. It was always like kind of week to week kind of thing. Like, oh, can he come back? Is he going to try to come back? But all this stuff. And we were all told it was a grip issue with that left hand because he broke it. So he couldn't grip the ball when he's taking snaps or anything like that. So that's why they basically he didn't play the rest of the year. Come to find out, he wasn't even or at least the story is he wasn't even throwing at that point. He was doing like they do a light like Nerf ball. Like he was throwing to Alvin Kamara and to other injured guys, which was not the report we got while it was happening. So apparently he wasn't that close to playing at all, despite reports from the Saints and from Derek Carr himself. So what is correct, I guess, is my opinion. Was he close to playing? Was he not close to playing? You see what I'm saying? There's conflicting reports there. Was it the hand or was it actually the shoulder? Which leads me to saying, well, why in late March 2025, he was preparing for the 2025 season, I guess, ramping up, if you want to call it that. He said he started experiencing pain in the right shoulder for the first time throwing a high volume since recovering from the concussion. The medical scans later revealed that Carr suffered a labral tear and had a degenerative issues with his rotator cuff in general. So that's where we're at when the report broke about a few weeks before the draft, and kind of sent everybody into a tizzy. What were your thoughts when that report came out, Joey?
That he was done. If you have if the word degenerative is in the vocabulary of talking about an injury, you might as well be done, especially if it's something that is important like your shoulder, like your knees, So, and it showed in the draft when the Saints drafted Tyler Shuck, that told me that okay, either Derek Carr is going to be out for a while and he'll come back later, or he's done. And you're not getting a guy, you're not going to keep a guy on your roster that you're going to pay for 2 years just to recover. The only team that's done that is in any of the major four is the Colorado Avalanche, because the guy had his leg sliced open with a skate and it just took a while for him to come back. So
that's got to sting.
And he was instrumental in them winning the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. So to me, the NFL is not built that way. It has to be okay. If you're down, next man up. And if you're the Saints organization, if you're Kellen Moore, because remember, in the middle of all of this, the Saints got a new head coach. He's got to make a decision for his team. It's not, I got to make a decision for Darren Rizzi's team because he was the guy before me. It's my team now. This is my ship. I'm running it.
Yeah. Shane, what were your thoughts initially when that report came out?
I don't buy it, the degenerative thing, personally. And I say that because the day he says he retired, the next day he's showing himself working out. He looks like he's in good shape. He doesn't look like there's a lot wrong with him. So, like to me, I mean, I know you can still do workouts and have a degenerative issue, but and I'm not saying this because of my personal feelings on the Saints. I think none of us are surprised that this organization hasn't really been run well from a front office ownership standpoint, and they don't have a good track record with NFL or basketball in handling injuries. So none of this really is surprising. I think some of it is this just mismanagement on the Saints part, and then I think you're trying to put narratives out there that maybe make it look good for both sides, but like they keep changing. They haven't stayed consistent. It's like you said, his hand was hurt. Now it's a shoulder. Now it's degenerative. Degenerative would have showed up way sooner than if he just had an injury. They knew about Ramczak's knee way before that was going to be an issue. They still signed him for some reason. So I mean, it just their handling of players with injuries and just kind of the whole way the organization is run. None of this really surprises me. So I really didn't fully buy it when it came out, especially when I saw his video of him working out. It just seems like there's a lot of lies between the organization and him, and it's like they're playing a weird ping pong match back and forth with each other.
Okay, you're no, and I completely agree. You fast forward a little bit to his actual like retirement kind of thing, right? Yeah. So let's just do it. I think you brought up a good point. I will say he has to be probably one of the most tone deaf athletes I've ever seen. He really does. Like whether like the first time he comes out and actually makes a public statement about the injury itself is at a church sermon in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, and having, and that's a lot of things. Like you can bring Aaron Rodgers in this. When there's a major story that breaks and there's no information that comes out from either the player or the team, it creates an information vacuum. So yes, people are interested in you, Derek Carr. You're getting paid $40 million. People are interested in what you're doing, Aaron Rodgers, because there's no information being funneled in. So yes, when you don't provide the information, people are going to speculate. There's going to be information that flies everywhere, and of course, him going, and some lady on a podcast. Oh, you mean Diana Rossini, one of the most respected NFL reporters out there? And it's just.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just gonna say, let's call it what it is. It's a chicken shit move. You're basically at a place where no one's gonna call you out for what you're saying. So he just got on a soapbox and woe is me, and oh, it's so bad, but people are picking on me. It's like, dude, every pro athlete knows the score. You sign up, you make a bunch of money, but you're open to public scrutiny. And so instead of standing in front of a bunch of reporters who are going to ask him unbiased questions or not let him spew bullshit for an hour, he's did it in front of people who are not going to say a word. So it just is. It's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He goes on a podcast with his buddies, or his buddy's going to call him out. Yeah, who pay him. His buddies aren't going to call him out because they're probably scared of him because he's a freaking strange dude. So, like, you don't want to upset the dude who's mentally unstable, is what it seems like. So I think it's a chicken shit move the way he finally addressed, which is going in front of people in Las Vegas who probably don't give a shit about New Orleans.
No, they don't care about it. And, you know, like, I completely agree with you. That's what you sign up for. So let's fast forward. Let's stay on the tone deaf train, you know. So like you alluded to, Shane, it eventually came out on May 10th that Derek Carr announced his retirement to the shock of really everybody. And I think because for those who don't know, the contract pretty much laid out. We gave him the Saints gave him a $10 million roster bonus for being on the roster. He was also guaranteed $30 million as his base salary for that year. We guaranteed it by restructuring his contract. So when this got announced, all he had to do was get surgery, and he would have gotten that $30 million. But when it came out was he's retiring, keeping the $10 million roster bonus, but giving back the $30 million base salary for this year, which gave the Saints cap relief for the first time in Lord knows how long. And really, this was the how you put it, the pivotal moment when the rebuild really started to happen. Now, would we have liked this, you know, decision to come out before the draft? Yeah, of course. But, you know, maybe the Saints and him had an agreement to be like, look, we're going a different direction. You're probably doing this, whatever. But, you know, you can be on the roster. I don't know, to be honest with you, because so sticking with the tone deaf thing, he does an interview 2 days prior to the time of recording, basically saying that the reason he decided to retire was because he didn't want to get the surgery and take the Saints' money because it didn't feel right. Buddy, we know you try to play the good guy. Not many people are that good to give up $30 million. My opinion, this is my opinion, and I've heard it that people have insinuated this may have happened. I think the Saints were blindsided by this news of his degenerative shoulder injury and all of his ploys to get traded or released earlier in the offseason. When they didn't know about his shoulder injury before they restructured him and guaranteed all his money, I think they were going to file a grievance and take him to court over that money and make it real ugly and make him really look like the bad guy, which Derek Carr does not want to look like the bad guy ever. So that's my opinion. I think the Saints are really going to fight him on every cent of the money instead of just there. But I think they came to an agreement and be like, look, you keep the 10, we get the 30 back. And we call it a day. Pish Posh, you look good. We look good. Everybody's happy. But I truly believe that's what's happened. And he's just yeah. But I'll leave it at that before I go to my closing thoughts on
it. How many years did he have left on his deal?
2.
He had 2. Okay.
He had 2 years left.
Yeah, I mean, look, he for all the stuff that I might say, he's not like Tom Brady took less money to try to win championships. If you don't like the guy, you like the guy. But he did that because he knew he could make money other places and go for championships. Derek Carr is nowhere near the quarterback for that. So I think they had to be telling him they're coming after it. So they gave him the opportunity to try to look good because I fully intend for him to try to come back and play. I fully think he's going to do that. So, but they probably said, look, you can either twist it this way or we'll come after you publicly. So he's trying to keep that good boy image. But I can tell you this right now, there's no way I would give up $30 million. I don't care. Like,
all he had to do was get surgery.
Yeah. But he's not a marketable, in my opinion, he's not marketable for companies. So, like, he's not going to get a lot of endorsements like some of these other guys who take less money. He's just nowhere near the level that he thinks he's at. So, like, there's got to be more, like you alluded to, like you heard, because he's not giving up $30 million because he's not going to be able to recoup that somewhere else.
I mean, I don't think he's hurting for money. We already gave him over $100 million anyway. But
right.
I think it's just, I agree with you though. It's just, it's to the point where it's like somebody's trying to tell you a lie, right? And they just keep getting more and more and more outrageous with it. It's like an old fishing store, right? Like that fish started off as like a 2-footer. And now that thing's up to like 16 feet now. It's like, dude, I can't believe this shit anymore.
Yeah. It just is to me is exhausting from an organizational standpoint and from the player standpoint. There's other things that the organization should be focusing on, and how they didn't know about this earlier and didn't just do something earlier. I think we've talked about there was some other ways they could have got cap relief if they just cut them. That Loomis keeps doing is kick the bucket down the road. I'll pay the bill eventually. So it just is. I think, like you said, this is the first time in a long time, if you followed the Saints, that they're barreling towards a rebuild. Their top tier players are old, or they're a lot of their youth that you would say was promising. Olave has concussion issues. You really can't extend these guys, even with the cap space you got. So they had to roll it over because you have to wait and see what the young guys can do, and the older guys you've all restructured, re-signed, or kicked the money down the road. So it's like a wait and see. It's going to be curious to see what they do this year, but I'm at least happy he's not on the team, because even if he stayed and was on that sideline, I think he's a cancer.
It's just an unneeded distraction from the rest of the team, especially with a young head coach and everything. That's why. Well, and also, if the Saints knew about this when they're interviewing head coaches, they wouldn't be, because it's come out from anonymous sources that, when the Saints are interviewing people, they were fully talking about what their plan was with Derek Carr, how they planned on maximizing him, and if they're like, okay, with moving forward until they're able to, find a replacement, that kind of thing. So he was fully intended with the plans. I think it was just, this was his last play of trying to get out of New Orleans, and he realized he's swimming with sharks, not guppies, and realized he didn't have another play besides doing this. But
fair enough.
And talk about the cap thing. They essentially, like we always talked about, they could have cut him and made a June 1st cut kind of thing. You wouldn't see the money till then. That's essentially what happened. They essentially just restructured and then made him a June 1st cut. That's essentially what happened. Joey, what's your thoughts? We'll kind of wrap it up, and then we'll start talking about some positives here, because I do we'll wrap up the Derek Carr thing, but I do want to talk about the Saints' future. I'm a little more excited than probably a lot of people are.
I mean, it just kind of, like Shane said with the video, when he announced his retirement, it's like, okay, thank God. Like, now he can finally put to bed, like, this, is he or isn't he? And then he puts the video out, and it's just like, I didn't even watch it, because as soon as I saw that he put a video out, I'm like, this is going to be cringy as hell. It's going to be stupid. It's going to make me angry, because he's going to be doing something that he said he can't do in the video. And sure enough, he's working out, but he has degenerative issues with his shoulder. I'm thankful that he actually said, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing and give y'all at least the $30 million back.
I don't think he had a choice.
Yeah, no, but it could have been, he could have said, no, I'm going to take it. And it would have been a long drawn out fight, and we would have been in cap hell for the season, because, this money's being held up. You can't sit there and spend what you don't have yet. It would have been tied up in litigation. They probably wouldn't have found out until 2 years from now that, okay, we have to give them the money back, all that kind of stuff. And, I think it's finally time that we can just kind of, OTAs have happened. We've had the draft. We've got our quarterbacks working out. We could finally put Derek Carr to bed and not have to think about the boogeyman anymore, especially considering Kool-Aid McKinstry took his number. So
I did say the day after the retirement became official, he changed his number to number 4. That was great.
Yeah, so the Saints are done with Derek Carr. They don't have to worry about him anymore, and I think it needs to stay that way.
Well, look, like I said in every group text, good riddance. And this will go down as the worst free agent signing in Saints history.
Oh,
I don't care. You can get tell me Jarius Byrd, tell me Brandon Browner. That's 2 years, 3 years, and did not lock up the money that he did. I'm sorry. It has to be Derek Carr, and more important position too.
I don't know.
We've just made so many bad ones.
Well, there's Jarius Byrd and Brandon Browner, the two that stick out. Jason David's another one.
To Bucky Jones.
Yeah, but it's all defensive backs and stuff, right? Like it's not the quarterback of the team that legitimately sets you back 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, but Brandon Browner was pretty bad.
1 year. 1 year. That's all it was. 1 year.
I mean, are we not going to talk about Darren Sharper just for his criminal entities?
Okay, well, that's it. Well, look, that's it. That's a fascinating discussion, okay? Fascinating discussion. Because you take all the shenanigans off the field, and yes, I'm trying to put a lighter spin on it. It's horrible what he did. He's a monster. Let's call it what it is. He's serving his prison sentence because of it. But on the field, that dude was awesome.
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
can we all agree with the worst trade the Saints made in the draft is when they traded up to 5 for Jonathan Sullivan?
Yeah. Either that or the Ricky Williams.
First round.
I was going to say the Ricky Williams trade.
Ricky Williams trade, I feel like he's always going to be I don't think it can be measured, right? Like nobody's ever going to do something like that again. It won't ever happen.
I don't know. The Jonathan Sullivan thing, the dude couldn't even make it 4 years in the league. They traded 2 firsts to move up to grab him too. It always sticks out to me. But anyway.
No. It's a good point. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, the one that's always going to stick out to me is the one with the Marcus Davenport trade and passing on Lamar Jackson. That's the one that stings.
Well, the other one too, I think is funny is they loved Mahomes, but knew that people liked him, but weren't going to trade up to get him because we like Marshall and Lattimore too, and I'm not knocking Marshall and Lattimore, but if you're trying to find, you could have went from Breeze to Mahomes, and we wouldn't even be talking about. So it's crazy to see some of these things like, Monday morning quarterback him a couple of years later.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, so I do want to make a bold statement. And it's just about the Aaron Rodgers thing.
Oh, boy.
I'm making a bold statement right now. The Aaron Rodgers signing is going to be the signing that gets Mike Tomlin fired.
Wow, that is a bold statement.
That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you now. As it's all love and dove and great kumbaya moments right now, but when he starts playing like shit, and we all know, like, I'm sorry, he hasn't been good since 2021. Ooh, I said it. Oh, come at me, ayahuasca king. Like, you have not been good since 2021. You sucked in the last year with the Packers. And okay, you got a little better down the stretch with the Jets in 2024, but you're not worth the hoopla that you're causing right now. And I definitely think so. I mean, because look,
I just heard you break for a second where you're trying to think like
his signing, he's gonna there's a certain expectation that's come with it, right? You're not signing him because I'm pretty sure you could have started Mason Rudolph, made the playoffs and losing round 1 like you always do because the defense is great and y'all have a running game. Aaron Rodgers is supposed to get you to over the hump, right? Is he though?
If I'm the Steelers organization or fan, I'm hoping that dude comes out with an American flag on the first game, has his Achilles, and I'd start Will Howard, and Will Howard has a better chance of getting him over the hump than Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you.
They don't need him. I don't think they need him. In my opinion, the kid Will Howard's look good. He's a big guy. You just said it. They can run the ball. They play defense. He doesn't have to do that much. I mean, can he get the ball to DK, in the end zone or yeah. So why do you Mike Tomlin's masterfully dealt with the Le'Veon Bells of the world, the Antonio Browns, the Deontay Johnsons. When they leave him, they can't catch on anywhere because they're a nightmare to deal with. But he dealt with them and then got rid of them. You are bringing in a known problem. It is, and it's not something that the Steelers need.
Let's call it what it is. Aaron Rodgers is more interested in talking about vaccines than he is playing football. Like, my God, dude, it was 5 years ago. Fuck over it.
Didn't he miss some kind of workout to go on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yeah.
He's going to miss minicamp, and he's not.
No, not the Jets, with the Steelers. But he hadn't signed with the Steelers yet. So
he hadn't signed with the Steelers. No. He had to get all of his and look, this is not to say people in his inner circle aren't dealing with medical stuff. It's just, I'm gonna say the timing is very, very, very convenient. That, oh, well, I had to deal with the stuff during the off season and during OTAs and everything like that. Mandatory minicamp, yeah, they're good enough. I can go play now. Dude, just say you didn't want to go to camp. Like, you're the
every veteran does it. Like Michael Strahan didn't go to off-season workouts, I think, for the last 4 years of his career.
Yeah,
because he's just like, I know what to do. I know what I'm doing.
But also,
Football.
when they had the CBA negotiations in 2020, Aaron Rodgers was the one. He was a player rep. Was one of the ones that was fighting tooth and nail to basically have them have 6 months off. Like, once the season ended, they weren't doing anything till training camp, till August 1st.
Yeah.
And the rest of the players like, no. Like, you're taking away opportunities for guys to make the team and get in front of coaches earlier. But
don't get me wrong, they should have like a time off thing. But in my opinion, my honest opinion, let's pull up. I'm gonna pull up his contract with the Jets. You made $1.8 million in base salary your first year. You can work all year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, like, oh, well, we should get some time off. Yeah, go recover. Take the 2 months y'all already do off. And then you start, like, I'm sorry, but y'all play a game for a living. Like, it's okay. You're gonna be okay.
You sound like me. I get angry at like basketball players because they complain, oh, we play too much. Bitch, y'all make $60 million a year. Get over
Fully
it.
guaranteed.
Yeah, get over it.
Look at the bright side. This is his last stop. It's going to fail. And then if you don't have to worry about watching him, at least from a football standpoint, and you can turn off anything else he's on, which is what I do.
Yeah,
so,
I mean.
You don't think he's going to go do TV somewhere?
It's not going to be on my fucking TV, I can tell you that.
He'll be on the back of the show. You know that.
That's where you're going to subscribe to SiriusXM and find whatever game you're watching, just match their home radio.
I just watch Red Zone, Joey. And then a lot of times I mute the game because I don't want to hear anybody talking about it. I literally just want to watch the game and bet on the game.
Is the guy from NFL Network stepping away?
No,
he's confirmed he's coming back.
Okay, good.
He's also doing a cameo for us to talk shit to Matt.
Next level trolling.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, I'm paying for it. So yes.
How much does that cost? I'm curious.
It's like $200-something. I did one for Amy one time. I had the dude Brian Bumgarner from The Office, who played Kevin. Nice. He did one. He's like the highest grossing person on there, I think.
Oh,
or at least he was when I did it. Yeah. But all right, well, we got off topic here. We want to talk about the Saints' bright future that Tyler at least is excited about.
Where I'm excited about is in the aspect of I'm kind of excited about the offensive line. They did what everybody has been clamoring for since they drafted him, and is kick Trevor Penning to left guard. So there's no excuses for the offensive line anymore. You have 4 first-round picks and 1 second-round pick on your offensive line. There's no excuse for them to not be great. This should be a strength of the team.
You have, just to correct Tyler here real quick, you have 2 first-round picks, 2 first-round busts, and a second-round pick.
Nah, that's fair. That's fair.
But I think what he's saying, like,
no, I know, I'm just teasing.
I agree with, bust him up.
No, yeah. What I agree with Tyler though is it's like, hey, they're trying something different. They're not just like, this will work. We can tell. We know it's going to work eventually. It's like, hey, let's kick him over. Maybe he'll do better. Thank God.
Everything I've read is Trevor Penning can't play left guard, so that does not excite me. I don't know your thoughts on that, Tyler, but they have said like they didn't kick him into left guard last year because he couldn't play it. So I don't know if maybe they've worked with him all year, he's learning it, but that doesn't give me high hopes.
The reason I have high hopes is I'm going to direct you back to Philadelphia with Kellen Moore, Nussmeier, Tolzien, all that entire staff that's here now that helped Mekhi Becton, another former tackle that struggled against speed rushers, kicked him inside. That dude just got paid by the Los Angeles Chargers. So they have experience in developing guys that are bigger, lumbering tackles and moving them inside.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I may be setting myself up for failure, but I'm all in on the Kellen Moore. In Kellen, we trust. I'm about to start making T-shirts that say that. I like what he's doing so far. It's the energy he's bringing. Yeah, I know people get aggravated with him saying, "Oh, the process." It is a process.
He did come from a city that their slogan was "Trust the process." So,
but that's the thing. He's got to build a culture, and I like what we're seeing so far. And now all the reports is that the veterans are actually buying in pretty heavily. And that was one question. It's like, well, we got guys that are older than Kellen Moore on the team. Like, how are they going to respond?
You almost had a quarterback that played against Kellen Moore in college.
Exactly,
and
got whooped.
Yes.
I'll
let you say it because you put it nicely. I was going to say he got his shit rocked in that game.
But see that, but that's where I'm excited. The defense scares me. You know, corner is going to be a huge question. You got Kool-Aid out there. I know we signed Isaac Yadam. I mean, is Alontae Taylor the slot corner, or is he playing outside now? I mean, who knows? We got Reed in the secondary as a safety with the Honey Badgers. So, I mean, Demario Davis is always going to be there.
I thought I read something about Alontae Taylor saying that he's like improved leaps and bounds.
Yeah, no. It's just where's he going to play, right? Is he going to play the slot corner position or is he outside? He was pretty good in the slot, but if he can be that outside corner, that'd be tremendous. Have him and Kool-Aid as your cornerstones out there. So, and then where's the pass rush going to come from? Chase Young's apparently looked great in camp. I mean, I feel like that's the story every year, but at least he was able to stay healthy last year. So hopefully those pressures become actual sacks. So that was all the positives. Shane, why don't you just sprinkle
eviscerate the team?
Before that, I'm looking at the depth chart on ESPN just because I wanted to see something. They moved Chase Young to Sam linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
So they put him back
3-4.
Yeah.
So he's still just rushing.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's going to be really interesting to see, like, on the 4 rush or the 3 rush, like, how are we going to get to the quarterback?
So, and I'm going to kind of divert for a second before you eviscerate the team, Shane, just because I feel like you can kind of talk on this for a second. I think a lot of people make a big deal out of 4-3 and 3-4 alignments now when it's really not as big of a deal as it used to be. You know what I mean? Because everybody is in nickel so much that you're essentially going with 4 down linemen, your 2 linebackers in the secondary. So it's not as a big of a deal as it used to be, where it's like, oh, well, it actually makes a schematical difference because everybody's usually in 2 tight end, 2 running back sets. Would you kind of agree with that one?
Yeah, I mean, they run so many different schemes as it is. Where back in the day, you stayed base 4-3, base 3-4. It's more of a, it's a starting point for the defense, but they're always going to situationally, especially with more spread with more receivers, tight ends, just depending on the personnel. So I don't think it's as big of a deal. From a theory standpoint, I think some of the personnel that we have just might not fit in what they're trying to do.
And it takes time to get personnel matches in there and everything, right? It usually doesn't happen overnight. Especially 3-4, I feel like there's a lot more specialized roles on it, kind of thing.
Like I remember the 3-4s of, like, say, the Steelers. You needed a big body nose tackle. You needed a monster.
Casey Hampton, man.
Yep, Casey Hampton. You had, the Ravens had Nagata. They had Sawyer Goose, R.I.P. But so like when you look at, I'm assuming Brian Breesy's kicking out to like who's still
as of right now, they have Brian Breesy behind Cam Jordan on the depth chart.
At an end, though.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to stay that way.
So who do they have at nose tackle?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I assume it would be Gotcha.
Right now, the starters are Cam Jordan at left, nose tackle is Gotcha, Kalen Saunders at right, will linebacker is Carl Granderson, left inside linebacker Demario Davis, right inside linebacker Pete Werner, and then same linebacker Chase Young.
Now the Colin Saunders one is interesting.
I don't know if that's like set in stone, or they were just like throw it out there? Because I could honestly see them taking Breesy and putting him opposite Cam.
Well, I think so. That's going to be the pass rushing spot, if I'm not mistaken. This year, they're going to give Cam every opportunity to get his sacks. I think he needs like 5 or 6 more, or something like that, to set some kind of record. So
I'll look that up for you.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try to give him every opportunity to solidify his legacy. Because I think last year that was a point of contention with him why he was so mad and like would walk off and everything. They would rotate him out all the time. It's like, look, just keep and only use him on rundowns. It's like he's earned the right to be the pass rusher at this point. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited for Breesy's potential in this scheme. But we'll see. We'll see. I do think we need some more depth at DT. But Colin Saunders is interesting at right end, though. He's definitely a space eater. But
not seeing anything about.
Yeah, I thought I saw something, but I could be wrong. But anyway, so let's get to it. I know everybody wants to talk about it. The quarterbacks. All reports is that Spencer Rattler's coming in on fire. Like he's coming in with an axe to grind. He's looking quick. He's looking fast with his decision making, live ball and everything. And then Shuck's apparently doing well is doing well also. I mean, of course, he's a rookie, so he's still getting some processing stuff down. But some of the arm angles I've seen him throw from, some of the there's a beautiful layered corner route he threw to I want to say Juwan Johnson, but I could be completely wrong. That was phenomenal, right over Demario Davis's hand. The arm talent's there, but everything I've seen so far, it looks like Rattler's in the lead. Who would y'all like to see be the starter going into the season? Shane? Or Joey? Whoever wants to take it.
Shane, you go first. I got to think about it.
And I don't really say this to be ugly. I really don't care from a standpoint as if they're letting those two guys compete. Kellen Moore picked the one that you think's the best. I think you have to feel Rattler and Shuck out. So to me, let the new staff, they're coming in kind of with fresh eyes. I know they drafted a guy, but I've heard that Spencer Rattler looks good. So I say they let it have true quarterback competition. And I think if you're believing in Kellen Moore, then you got to let him take the guy that he thinks is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd agree with Shane. Just whoever's better. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's, Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck. Whoever fills the need we have at quarterback, that's who I want. Which isn't really the fun answer, but it's the real answer.
Well, I'm gonna make it fun to make y'all think a little bit, and I'll give my answer real quick. I'm with y'all. I think who wins the job, win it. I trust Kellen Moore's decision making on that one. But the question I really want to ask y'all is, does the fact that Tyler Shuck was their chosen guy, or the guy that they drafted in the second round and everything, if it's a tie, does it automatically go to him? Or do y'all think that, they kind of play the do-si-do of like, oh, we'll give you a few games, see how you do, that kind of thing?
Oof. Well, hopefully it's just not a tie. You don't have to worry about it. But,
yeah.
I mean, they drafted Tyler Shuck. They obviously feel he can come in and do the job, but I know that Rattler was extremely motivated, was in there working with the guys. So Shuck has obviously catching up to do to get some rapport with those guys. So I think you're going to see once it gets to the really meat and potatoes of preseason and training camp, I think someone's going to run away with it. I don't know if it's going to be
separate themselves.
Yeah, I think they'll separate themselves, which is hopefully because you don't want. I mean, way back in the day, there was a time where they were rotating between two Billy Joes and a Jim Everett or something. I forgot who. Or they tried Heath Schuler out one. I mean, it was like a dumpster fire for quarterbacks at one point in time for the Saints. It's obviously I don't think it's that situation, but you really don't want the Saints have enough to, in my opinion, to go against this season. They don't want to be trying to switch quarterbacks out every other game or let one go for a couple games. They're not in a great situation, in my opinion, going into the season.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So
Broseph?
I think if anything, them drafting Tyler Shuck will make Spencer Rattler want to be better. So, I think the second that they, when he found out Derek Carr may not play, he's like, okay, I'm the guy. I need to go in. So that kind of started it. And then they draft Tyler Shuck, and it's like, okay, I'm competing for a job. I need to show Kellen Moore that, yeah, that's his guy he picked, but I need to show why he picked wrong in a sense. So, I like seeing that Spencer Rattler has improved. Tyler Shuck going in there and giving him some competition can only help the Saints, I think, because competition breeds, success.
Iron sharpens iron.
Right. So, I just want to see. I don't care who it is. I want to see wins. I want to see touchdowns. I want to see good plays. I don't want to see interceptions. I don't want to see, sacks we don't need to take and all that.
Yeah, and so my personal opinion on it is I think people are making too much of a big deal about Tyler Shuck being a second-round pick. Dude, there's a laundry list of second-round pick quarterbacks that are gone off a team.
I think they forget about, our franchise quarterback for the longest time.
No. What I mean is, no.
Second-round pick. No, that's what I'm saying.
I'm going the opposite way on it. What I mean is that that's a good point. That's a very good point, though. What I mean is people down here are acting like we made such a high investment. It's a second-round quarterback. If it pans out, fantastic. If it doesn't, and we suck, and we end up with a top 5 pick, guess what? He's probably going to be cut, and we'll pick another quarterback. That's kind of the situation we're in right now. So what I want to see is when that decision's made on who the quarterback's going to be, fully embrace it. You know what I mean? Like, let them take the job and run with it. No back and forth, no flip-flopping. It's a developmental year all around. So with that being,
it's patience. That's the biggest
thing. It's 100% patience. I think people may have an unrealistic expectation of the last time we were at the bottom, and we got Sean Payton and Drew Brees and all this stuff, and all of a sudden we were off and going right off the bat. Patience. Sean Payton was also able to flip, I think, 80% of the roster that year. It was an entirely new team. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take some patience. And with that being said, I want to hear y'all's record prediction for the Saints this year. I want to hear a worst case scenario, and I want to hear a best case scenario. I'll go first. I think absolute worst case scenario is you bottom out completely, 3 wins, and you have the top pick. Best case scenario, well, I mean, for long-term health of the organization, that may not be a bad thing, but for just this year is what we're talking about. Best case scenario, you win 7 games. Maybe you squeak out an 8th because things are just kind of gelling together. Kellen Moore hits the ground running, and we surprise a few people. I think but where I'm falling at, I think we kind of fall somewhere in the middle, probably 5 wins, 4 wins. That kind of is where I'm kind of leaning at. We're not there yet. We have some. They're doing it right. They're trying to build the trenches first, and then go out and do everything else. So, Shane, where you have Matt?
I'm surprised you had it there because that's where I had it. I had 2 wins, to maybe 6 wins.
Yeah,
we kind of bypassed me eviscerating this team, but
go by all means. Look, by all means, go ahead. I took my time.
Well, we talked about the defense, right? So you got aging people, but let's talk about the offense. You don't know who the quarterback is, okay? So their strongest, maybe, I guess, spot is their offensive line in theory, right?
Yeah, in theory.
We'll see how that goes if they can stay healthy. But when you look at this offense, Kamara is aging. He still looks good. You got a question mark behind backup running back if he gets hurt. You signed a guy in Juwan Johnson who's hurt all the time. You got Olave who has a concussion issue. Shaheed can't stay healthy. Cooks is old. So, does everyone think that this offense is going to miraculously gel because of Kellen Moore and be able to – if you look scrolling through at the bottom, look at the offenses, just the offenses that this offense has to try to keep up with. They've all improved or they've already been good. So, maybe not the Cardinals, maybe, but you still have to, Harrison put on 35 pounds of muscle. You got McBride, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Bucks. You got to play them both twice. They all have powerful offensive weapons that an aging defense has to cover. So the Saints offense would have to miraculously gel, in my opinion. All these guys would have to stay healthy and have their best years, probably just to win 8 or 9 games. Then you're not probably going to compete. If you can squeak into the playoffs, you're not going to compete. So if you're rooting for the Saints, you probably want to see some development, like Tyler said. You want to see some positives, but you don't want to win a lot of games, because it does nothing for the future of the team if you win a lot of games or 8 or 9 games. You don't put yourself in a situation to say, for them to win 8 or 9 games, the quarterback play has to be incredible, in my opinion.
And that's what I'm saying. So, like, even if they get to like 6 wins, I feel like I'd feel pretty good about that, because that means we've had some semblance of development in the quarterback room, right? Like, you don't win 6 games in this league without at least a competent quarterback.
Right. And, aging defense has to cover people like Devon Achane, Bucky Irving. You have to cover Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tedero McMillan, Xavier Legette, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Buka. Like, you start rattling all these guys that defense has to cover. Can that offense keep up with it? I mean, you got an older defense switching to a new scheme, and you've got a lot of question marks at skill positions. Once again, I totally agree with Tyler. They're doing it the right way. They build within the trenches. They're putting some competition in the quarterback room, but I think Saints fans need to have a very realistic opinion going into this year. And it's not, you don't like to see your hometown team not be good, but at some point in time they have to reset. I feel like they're trying to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. And that wasn't too bad. You didn't really eviscerate them. You pointed out valid points. The defense is a major concern. It has to be. Like you said, last year, the wheels fell off of the defense. You were seeing missed tackles and just guys just not putting in the effort. And look, a lot of that goes in the coaching staff just not being really inspired, kind of thing. Because there was some talk of that guys were just like, yeah, there was times where we just didn't even know what the hell we were doing until like 2 hours for the game, like scheme wise.
Well, and so to be fair, I'm more of a fantasy betting related football enthusiast now. And so as I'm doing prep for drafts, the Saints are one of these organizations that I want nothing to do with in any of best ball drafts. I'm just not betting on them. I'm not betting on the Browns. People are going to score points. They're going to be good. I'm not spending money betting on it. That's for sure. It's just on the offensive standpoint. There's not one person I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
It just is,
That's fair.
I mean, if you're a defense trying to stop them, you've got a second-year quarterback and a first-year quarterback. Load the box because the best player they got is Kamara, and just stop him. And then you're going to force those quarterbacks into situations that they're probably not ready to deal with.
No.
So
that's fair. Very fair point, Shane. Great insight on that one. Joey, where you at, buddy?
I mean, I'm looking at the schedule, and it's trying to find the wins, and it's not even like definite wins,
Pull it up on right now, Joey.
Huh?
Why don't you share it on the screen real quick?
All right. Let me pull it up.
Aside
from it being on the bottom, but yeah.
Well, I mean.
No, you're fine. Here it is right here.
Yeah, I mean, just so we get a visual, we can talk.
So you've got, like you said, Arizona, a maybe, right? Granted, it's the first game. San Fran, good offense, probably going to lose that game. Like, fully mentally prepared. I don't foresee them. Yeah, good defense. I don't foresee them winning very many games away from the dome.
Seattle's a maybe.
I think the crowd can get into it. Then you're kind of trouble. Buffalo,
destroyed.
Buffalo's too good.
Yeah.
New York has improved. New England's improved. I think second year Drake May is going to be better than first year.
Oh, bro. You ain't kidding on that one.
I agree
You're
with
at
that.
Chicago. They traditionally never do well in Chicago. Tampa, I think I could see a situation where maybe they split Tampa because it just seems like it's a division game, 1. And 2, when Tampa loses to the Saints, traditionally they've lost big. Yes,
Yeah.
was Drew Brees at quarterback, but even still, I think in the last couple of years, we still found a way, with Jameis, with Andy Dalton, with Derek Carr, to find a way to beat Tampa. So that's one. Carolina, they improved coming off to the end of the season. I don't really know what they're going to do, how they're going to be this year. I know they'll improve. I do kind of have a bet because of history that they're going to win the NFC, but that's just me being stupid.
Yeah, I think
that'll split. Atlanta's going to be the toughest test, and I don't want to say anything about that because I don't want to ever say the words Atlanta and win in the same sentence, even though I just did.
So
I could see the floor being 3 wins.
Okay.
And the ceiling maybe 7 or 8.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's where we're all kind of
just because like, again, any given Sunday, any team could just shit the bed.
Of course.
And I feel like Kellen Moore's coaching style and, the way he's improved teams that maybe weren't as good. Like, I feel like he's a big difference maker.
Look, we're putting a lot of stock into it, and into Kellen Moore, and I think rightfully so. But I don't have anything really else on the about it, man. I think we covered a lot about the Saints. What about y'all? Have anything else y'all want to talk about?
Saints wise, or just in general?
I think we're gonna keep this one the Saints talk since we already had the other recap episode earlier this week.
That's right, because I was gonna say breaking news with them. I'll keep that for the next episode.
Yeah, because I want to get some thoughts on it. We'll get some candidates and stuff like that. You can mention it real quick, but I mean
I guess my question is, so we're talking about the injury bug, and we're talking about how the Saints haven't been traditionally good with, helping injuries come about and recover. What's a player that got injured last year going into this year that you're kind of worried about a little bit?
Like injured last year?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so much worried.
The obvious one is Olave.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess I'll go with Olave just because well, you know what, Shane, you can keep Olave. I'll go Shaheed just because a lot of his injuries are like knees, hamstrings, that kind of thing. Is it one of those things where it's like, is he too fast for his body? You know what I mean? Like, is he just one of those guys that's uber athletic but can just soft tissue injuries kind of thing?
Yeah, we had a guy at Rummel when I was there. He was like 2 years after me, called Terrence Dunbar. He played on both sides of the field, and they had to IV him after the game because he had like less than 3% body fat. So his body just like couldn't handle. Like he wound up not doing much more. He was so dynamic in high school, but I don't think he did much afterwards because he just couldn't. His body couldn't handle the advanced games. So it might be something like with Shaheed, like you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, just some guys are just uber athletic like that.
Yeah, for me, it's Chris Billy Bob Olave. He's about as many concussions as my boy Billy Bob, and there's been some concerns with him playing. I mean, his health, and so we once again, like I was mentioning, me and Tyler's first 2 people were the 2 starting receivers for the team. Then you brought in Cook, and then your tight ends are aging, and injury prone for at least from Juwan Johnson's standpoint. So it's I don't know, it's concerning. So we'll see.
Broseph, what about you?
I mean, it's the wide receiver core pretty much.
It's a great question, though. That was a really good question.
I think that they haven't really come out to say what's going to happen with Taysom Hill. He's still kind of there. He was a difference maker for the team last year. There were times where he basically carried the team, even the year before.
I think
I think his time as a Saint is probably about to come to an end.
Don't be surprised if retirement's in the cards for him.
I could see
it. That'd be sad. And he just needs to be an accent piece. Like, he doesn't need to be the main offense. I think that's where Kubiak kind of got some issues last year with him. But with that being said, there's optimism, there's concern. Thank good riddance. Derek Carr's gone. We got the financial relief, and it's a new day. And that's the most exciting part about it. With that being said, is there anything else y'all want to cover on it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah? Well, y'all know what time that is. It's time to put on some rock music. And to sign off for this episode, for a special recap of Derek Carr Saga and the Saints' future, it's your host, Tyler, with my main man, Joey, with the light show back there for those who watch on YouTube, and our main man, Shane O'Mac. We'll be back next time with another episode of the Noble City Sort of Sports Talk Recap. Till then, later.